Ralph here, and welcome to True Power Trumpet Fitness on wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. I tell you what, guys, spring fever has got me. It got me bad. For the next 10 days or so, it's going to be well into the 50s, no snow. I think we turned a corner. Very, very mild, if that's the case, a very, very mild winter here in Connecticut. Anyway, you saw the thumbnail. Maurice, the best ever? It's hard to say, different genres and everything, but madam. Anyway, the template for greatness. I've done a video on this before, it was a couple years ago, so I'm going to do it again. I was thinking about this today, and this is just, guys, if you want to be great, this is what you do. All right? Okay, I have played. I should be toast. I was up around 2 hours. Let's see what we got. Maurice Andre, the man, the myth, the legend. You've read the book, now the movie. Maurice. Mel Broyles used to call him the Fat Frenchman. He thought he was the best. Well, I agree with him. Again, was Maurice better than Harry James? Potato, potato. You know what we're saying, but please, for sake of argument here, the best ever. And quite frankly, there is a group that is chasing him. Allison Balsam, Nene, all those guys. There's a ways to go, man. And that's not being detrimental in any way, shape, or form to those two people or anybody else that is doing that. It's just that he was that great. And will we see anybody that great again? Probably not. Probably not. Anyway, what is his template? Okay, couple stories before we get into the template. Okay, number one, I met him twice. Once with Jerry, okay, backstage at Carnegie Hall, and once he didn't remember me. This one came first. Either time he didn't remember me. Giardinelli's. Okay, now Giardinelli's at that time on 46th Street was just a hangout for trumpet players. I mean, you could be in there any day and night, and you know, Lou Soloff might walk in, or Alan Rubin and Ashford, and you just sit there and you schmooze with them. Oh, it was a trumpet players clubhouse, is what it was. Anyway, a bunch of us, students from Manus, were down to Giardinelli's, trying out mouthpieces. We all studied with Vacchiano. So we had dozens of mouthpieces there, right? And, by the way, Maurice played the Mount Vernons. I love it. Anyway, so we are hanging out, and we're playing, we're trying out mouthpiece. 1 1/4 C. How does this sound? Right, that's what we're doing. Okay. Da 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 da. Maurice comes in, walks right in. Oh, we're expecting you. And he's standing right there, speaking this French. We didn't know what the heck he was talking about. Maurice, there he is. And one of the guys comes out with a Selmer G trumpet. Maurice wanted to try it out. And we're doing long tones, and Clark, and he's going, takes the G trumpet. Mon Dieu, magnifique. Anyway, through very, very broken French, he told us, I thought he was talking specifically to me, but he told us The hardest piece of music he has to play is the Brandenburg. And the one note that he's never gotten consistently was that low G in the Arbin variation. On a C trumpet now. Okay? Mon Dieu. I play so much, I don't get to practice big horn. He doesn't get to practice as much. Now, that's very, very telling in what we are about to learn. Okay? Now, another story. Setting the story. Okay? Vacchiano, my first lesson. Get your album book out, Salamone. Put it out. And he just flopped it open. And he says, if you can play this book in all keys, you can play anything. I said, well, really? This is it? I thought this was, everybody could do this, right? And it just so happened it was open to the first characteristic study. And he says, look at that. If you can play that, he says, you can play anything. What's harder than this? First characteristic study. And I took that to heart. And even though I was a Arbin connoisseur before that, I was just an Arbin fanatic ever since. 45 years later, 48 years later, I'm still doing it. That's my recipe. Use double C's at Arbin. Okay? Now, Maurice. Maurice came from a very, very rural part of France. Okay? And his father worked in the coal mines. And Maurice thought very much, it was his destiny to follow his father's footsteps into the mines. Everybody at that part of France pretty much did the same thing. That's what they did. Okay? But he had this talent. So before he went to the mines, his father made him audition for the Paris Conservatory and Sabrish, Raymond Sabrish. Okay? Sabrish accepted him. Even then, the talent was evident. There's no question about it. But Maurice, even right to the bitter end, was very much a party animal. He loved his wine and all this sort of stuff. And this country bumpkin in the big city of Paris for the first time indulged. And he did not take care of business. And he was very, very close. Now check this out. Maurice Andre, very, very close to flunking out of the Paris Conservatory. Sabrish took him aside and said, look, kid, you're blowing it. I mean, I'm paraphrasing. You're blowing it. You have all the talent in the world, and you sounded terrible on your jury. They had the equivalent of juries at the end of the year. You got to think long and hard. Do you want to do this? If not, don't come back. Go into the mine and start your life. If not. Maurice did some soul searching, and the rest is history. Now, he went from doing basically nothing to practicing a la Doc Severinsen, 3-5 hours a day, all almost completely the Arbin. The Arbin. All right? Now, and basically, characteristic studies. So Sabrish and Vacchiano were absolutely 100% on the same page. Now, in the French customs, he was studying concerti and all that, and, to pass his juries and all this sort of stuff, and he was practicing orchestral excerpts. But 3 to 5 hours a day of Arbin. In other words, he was in his happy zone for 3 to 5 hours a day, which is exactly what I do. Okay? I don't do it 3 to 5 hours a day, but that's what I do. Arbin in my happy zone. Okay? Now, with that said, if you are doing that 3 to 5 hours a day of anything and your chops aren't right, you are going to be ground to dust. He happened to have, for whatever reason, he had the proper chops. And Jerry and he, I wasn't privy to this, but Jerry and he talked about it ad nauseum. They were very, very close. And Jerry and he grilled him about the tongue, and Jerry was not into the tongue at that point. Okay? And basically, Maurice had no idea what he was doing, to the point where he was trying to make his son a world-renowned soloist and couldn't do it, and sent him to Jerry. Now, how cool is that? Maurice Andre sends his son to you. I mean, that is there more of an ultimate compliment you can possibly get as a trumpet teacher? Jerry got it. Anyway, so 3 to 5 hours a day of Arbin. Now, his chops were right. He was lucky enough to be privy to Mount Vernon Bach mouthpieces, and the rest is history. And how many years later, when I met him in Giardinelli's, he was moaning and groaning because he didn't have that time on the C trumpet, which he considered the big trumpet, to do his happy zone workouts. And he felt he was losing his chops. And towards the end, he did lose the chops. I mean, they still sounded terrific, but they weren't what he was before. He was the first to admit it. Okay? But that is the template, guys. Now listen, the chops have to be right or you're just going to kill yourself. You're just going to kill yourself. The Arbin isn't magically going, I told you, isn't going to magically teach you relaxed corners. No, you have to have that. You have to have the chops and you have to have the right mouthpiece. And don't try it on a conventional Bach mouthpiece. Guys, it's not going to happen. Okay? Get your 1SB. Get one of my books, True Power to the Max or Double C Manifesto. Either one, $10. Okay? A 1SB mouthpiece. Get the chops right, and then just Arbin. 4 years, it took him 4 years in the Paris Conservatory, and he was ready to go. His first job was the Paris Circus. He was playing lead trumpet. His second job was the Paris Opera, and then he was off concertizing with the greatest set of chops maybe in the history of the trumpet. The rest is history. But that is the template. Now, I tell you lots of times, you don't need the hours and hours and hours to build up the chops because you don't need that. What you need the hours and hours and hours for is to adapt these great chops to the music. So it is refined. You're not clamming all over the place that I do at this point in my life. Okay? That is what you're doing the hours for. To adapt your true power chops to the music. But that template is there for anyone. And even if you fall short of the magic, the genius that Maurice had, you are going to have extraordinary chops where you will be able to play the equivalent of the Paris Circus or the Paris Opera. That is what you can almost be guaranteed with extraordinary chops, but not quite the genius of Maurice. That's the template. If you want it, go to it. It's there. Anyway, eat and drink your fruits and vegetables and live your life with true power. Maurice. Wow. The fat Frenchman, Ace. Maybe the best ever.